Hello there, welcome back to another Shaman video. My name is Shaman, and today we're going to be doing another video for Dragonflight content. In this video, we're actually going to be talking about the Primordial stones and the Onyx Annulet that I've been getting a lot of questions about, and it took me a little bit just to confirm my suspicions, my opinions on it, because I was testing things in high-end Mythic Plus and in the raid this week. Good news, my guild Dinosaur Cowboys on Area 52 finally got cutting edge. We downed Mythic Razagath after, I think it was like 270 pulls, something like that. We're a 2-night-a-week guild, so that was really nice to accomplish, and I think the Onyx Annulet had a pretty big impact on that with phase 2 intermission damage. But anyway, I digress. I'm getting ahead of myself. We're really happy about that, and I'm swapping over to Dwarf. Finally, I get to race change. I already have it lined up. I'm going to be probably doing that after this video. But I wanted to talk about the Onyx Annulet because I've been getting so many questions about which ones to run, what my thoughts are on it for both Enhance and Elemental. And now that I've actually done some testing in high Mythic Plus, 24s, 25s, I wanted to give you guys a video about my opinion on it and where it's appropriate to use, what kind of stones you should be using, and my overall kind of thoughts on it. I'm going to be bringing in to this video my simulations just to give you an idea about what I was running in these simulations, as well as the Wowhead guides and the fact that they actually do have accurate information, and I think that you guys should trust those Wowhead guides. But I wanted to give you a deeper dive into my thoughts on them. So I've played the stones for both Elemental and Enhancement. I think myself that the best combination for both Elemental and Enhancement in Mythic Plus is going to be the Desirous Bloodstone, Storm Infused Stone, and Prophetic Twilight Stone. These two paired together, it kind of forces a proc from your third stone whenever your Desirous Bloodstone procs, so that's really good, and vice versa. So whenever your Storm Infused Stone procs, it forces your Desirous Bloodstone to proc because of the Prophetic Twilight Stone. So this one genuinely is, I think, the best overall rounded combination for Mythic Plus. Careful though, I have been hearing rumors that the Storm Infused Stone has a tendency to sometimes pull mobs that you're not in combat with. I haven't been able to duplicate that myself by testing it in the open world, but that's something to keep your ears peeled for. Hopefully there's some patches on that. Another side note I wanted to say is that these stones are probably going to be tuned quite often throughout the patch and going into 10.1. The reason I say that is because the comments from the developer is saying that this was supposed to be a very powerful item that you would work on constantly and kind of build out different combinations that would be always useful. It's good for some classes. The Annulet is good for some classes and it's not good for others. So I think that an overarching discrepancy between classes wanting to use this ring that was implemented and the stones that come with it, there's probably going to be more tuning in the following weeks. So this information may change, right? There could be a better combination out there. People are still testing things, right? So if there is a change, just look at the Wowhead guide because it's going to stay up to date with these stone changes. But I digress. Let's talk about Elemental first. What are my findings? Well, I can tell you that the Onyx Annulet is better for Elemental than it is for Enhancement when it comes to Mythic Plus. It's better to bring because you're sacrificing less. I would recommend replacing a crit haste ring with the Onyx Annulet. If you do have a very high versatility ring, I don't recommend replacing it with the Onyx Annulet because versatility has very high value when it comes to high Mythic Plus for the Elemental Shaman because we are quite squishy, and versatility actually scales the damage of the Onyx Annulet. So that's a key note. That's why tanks and healers have such high value for it because they have so much versatility in Mythic Plus. So their kind of breakdowns are going to be skewed to having the Onyx Annulet being a very large portion of their overall damage because of that. But for Elemental Shaman, it's a pretty good, and I'll show you kind of some overalls that I did. Here's a 23 Algothar's Academy where the Primordial stones totaled almost 9% of my overall damage. Sorry, that's a 23 Azure Vault. It's a pretty big AoE dungeon. In the 24 Algothar's Academy, I was running the Wildfire build, and it did almost 7% of my overall damage, which is pretty darn good. I did 135k overall there. And then in the Cornerstars 25, which is Elemental Shaman's arguably our worst dungeon, it did 9% of my overall damage. That's Details is actually combining all the stones together into one recently. I know that's a pretty recent change in the last few days, or last couple days, so you may see that now in your details. And I wanted to bring it over to my elemental sims. So I'm running the Icy Hot build, majority of keys, because I find that it brings a very good balance for single target and for AoE. And in Mythic Plus, as an elemental shaman, the most value I think you can bring overall in the group is priority single target damage, especially when it comes to bosses. And in your sims, in my sims particularly from my character, it is simming between 8 and 9% of my single target damage for all the stones combined. And I am seeing that also in just like non-buffed, like self-buffed kind of single target for training dummies here. Just in this training dummy room, it's like 7%. I've seen it as high as 9% on some training dummy run-throughs for 3 minutes. So it's pretty good. And keep in mind, I'm running the Storm Infused stone here instead of the Freezing Ice stone because I want more value in AoE. Overall, it's going to be more valuable in the dungeon than the Ice Touch or the Freezing Ice stone. So for single target, I am seeing quite a large... I've actually seen my stones as elemental upwards of like 10% in a single target boss fight. So it's quite good. And in AoE, it's going to be less of your overall, obviously. Like it's only about 5.5 to 6% of my AoE overall. And that's completely lining up fine with what my overalls for dungeons are looking like. Like if I look at Advisor Melandris, my stone was 9.9, almost 10%. For that last boss of Quarter Stars on a 25. So it's pretty darn good for Elemental. And for Algothar's Academy Echo of Dragonus boss fight there, it was 10.5% of my single target damage there for that boss. So like I said, it's quite strong for Elemental, but I only recommend giving up a crit haste ring and not a high versatility ring for it because you're going to get more value out of that high versatility ring than you are the crit. This ring itself is giving me 4% versatility. So that's why I'm not going to give it up. 1, it's giving me base higher damage. 2, it's also scaling the damage of my Onyx Annulet. So keep that in mind. For Enhancement, it's a different story. For Enhancement, you're running the Elementalist build, and it doesn't bring as much value. It shows it in the simulations, and it shows it in the keys that I've been running as Enhancement, and even on Wowhead. For Elemental Shaman, it is actually saying, like, hey, this is a good combination. You probably want to use it, but for Enhancement, it's saying that for Raider single target, it's going to be very good. It's an item level equivalent of a 431 ring. But for Mythic Plus and AoE, it's not good. And as you guys know, I'm mainly a Mythic Plus content creator, but outside of Raid, I probably wouldn't use this anymore for Enhancement. And it's because of what you're giving up. 1, you're giving up your best stats, which is Mastery and Haste. I have a crafted ring that I was using before I picked up the Onyx Annulet, and I've been messing around with it, trying to see if Storm Infused Stone was going to be a good kind of overall for it. For AoE and in Mythic Plus. The Sims are saying that it's like 5%, sometimes less than 5% of your overall damage in AoE, 5 target cleave for about 1.5 minutes. And in single target, it's looking at roughly 6.5 to 7%, which is also kind of what I'm seeing. The problem that we have here is that even with the crafted ring, I'm giving up 7% mastery. So you can see my stats change here from a 66% mastery, and if I choose the other ring, I go up to 74% mastery, which is a rounded 8% mastery difference. And yes, I had this ring enchanted with mastery for this reason, just to show you guys. And for an Elementalist Enhancement Shaman, 8% mastery is essentially 8% increased damage. The fact that the ring is not making up for the stats lost is the problem. So you can see here, just mathematically, that the base ring damage isn't higher or even breaking even to the damage that I'm losing. Not to mention, and some people don't know this, our mastery as Enhancement Shaman doesn't scale with the ring's damage. So the nature damage that comes out of the Storm Infused Stone, or the frost damage that comes out of Freezing Ice Stone, it doesn't scale with our mastery, which is a problem. I mean, there are classes like Demon Hunter where Storm Infused Stone is going to be doing like a stupid amount of damage because they're critting so often, so it's proccing a lot more often than Enhancement Shaman. So this is what I'm talking about those outlier classes that are going to be having a lot more advantage to these stones, whereas like somebody like an Enhancement Shaman, where our mastery, which is supposed to increase the damage of all of our fire, frost, and nature damage that you deal, I had the assumption that the ring might have scaled with that, but unfortunately it doesn't. So for Enhancement Shaman and Mythic Plus, you just lose too much for running the ring in my experiences. This is why I did all of this testing. This is why I kind of prolonged this video. So if you guys have a different opinion, let me know in the comment section down below. I'd love to hear your opinions on this stone. I've had a big back and forth between it. I'm happy that it's a good damage increase for elemental. A little sad that it's kind of a waste when it comes to enhancement for Mythic Plus, but I'm still going to be using the ring in raid because of its increased damage, and I'm going to be using or building 2 rings essentially, one for Mythic Plus for Elemental Shaman, the one that I've already built out right here, and then I'm going to be building a second one with Freezing Ice Stone and a duplicate of the Prophetic Twilight Stone and Deserous Bloodstone, so that I don't have to keep going back to the reach or whatever it's called to swap out those stones whenever I'm doing different content. May build out a 3rd ring just for open world content, or maybe just super high AoE, like the Pestilent Plague Stone on Wowhead is showing that it's actually a decent AoE kind of grab for a stone. But and they also mentioned like Pestilent Plague Stone above 5 targets is really good for a 3rd stone, but Storm Infused Stone is for 2 to 4 targets is also very strong. They also mention actually you can opt out of the combo, it's Felth, which is what I tested actually. That's why I have this ring. I actually opted out of the combo and I went for a triple damage ring with Storm Infused Stone, Freezing Ice Stone, and Pestilent Plague Stone. Before I saw this, I thought, well, why don't I just build out a complete damage stone to see how it performs? And it simmed really well, but it was only simming for like pure AoE, and it was doing really bad for single target because there was no situation where it was like forcing a proc. So if you want a very good balanced overall combination, the Deserous Bloodstone, Prophetic Twilight Stone, and Storm Infused Stone is going to be your best bet for Mythic Plus. I highly recommend using that combination if you are going to use the ring for either Elemental or Enhancement. If you're going to skip it though, for Enhancement, just get your Haste Mastery ring, whatever your best stats are for you. Obviously it's going to be Mastery is the highest value, and then Haste for Enhancement. I digress. These are my thoughts on it. If you guys have a different opinion, I'd like to know it. Just so you guys know, I'm obviously back on Twitch streaming pretty much every day, so come on by twitch.tv/BrockRShaman. The link is going to be in the description down below. I do Mythic Plus. I talk about things Shaman related and patches. We're going to be doing more videos soon about the tier sets and different guides about the different builds, such as the Icy Hot build, Wildfire build, and Lightning build, and what's coming in 10.1, what my thoughts are on the tier set and how that interacts with both Elemental and Enhancement. If you guys like the video, drop a like, subscribe for more content, and until next time, keep calm and Maelstrom on.